Greetings, brothers and sisters. So I usually cover this on my other channel, but, well, I'm not going to explain it. But here it is. Travis Barker speaks out following hospitalization for life-threatening pancreatitis. I went in for an endoscopy Monday feeling great. But after dinner, I developed excruciating pain and have been hospitalized ever since. During the endoscopy, I had a very small polyp removed right in a very sensitive area, usually handled by a specialist, which unfortunately damaged a critical pancreatic drainage tube. This resulted in severe, life-threatening pancreatitis. I am so grateful that with sensitive treatment, I am currently much better. So what? He had incompetent medical care? Is that what he's saying? Pancreatitis is the redness and swelling inflammation of the pancreas. This happens when digestive juices or enzymes attack the pancreatitis. The pancreas lies behind your stomach on the left side of your belly. It is close to the first part of your small intestine or the duodenum. It's kind of a bummer that I know how to pronounce a lot of these words now. Because I've been covering health stuff for, like this. And so, yeah, there's that. So apparently some sort of medical error, a botched removal of a polyp caused him to drop like flies. Oh, what a scary and emotional week it has been. Our health is everything, and sometimes we take for granted how quickly it can change. Travis and I went in for a routine endoscopy together. That's the couple that goes in for endoscopies together, stays together. And he ended up with severe life-threatening pancreatitis. I'm so So you say don't get what's the moral of the story? I am so grateful to God for healing my husband, for all of your prayers for him and for us, for the overwhelming outpouring of love and support. I am so touched and appreciative. I am so thankful to our specialist doctors and nurses at Cedars-Sinai for taking so much wonderful care of my husband and during our stay. And so then there was this. Busy Phillips arrested outside Supreme Court wearing "I will aid and abet abortion" shirt. She will aid and abet. She's going to aid and abet. She's not just going to aid. She's also going to abet. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not stop fighting until there's equality for all Americans. What this is about is state rights. The Republicans have always wanted states to decide things for themselves, and the Democrats and their big cities, there's an argument to be made for both, right? Because sometimes states do some whack stuff, and you can get, crazy stuff that happens on a like a smaller population in you can have some really bizarre rules and laws and things. But for the most part now, like that was, in the days of slavery and things, when things were, state by state, there were some more horrific attitudes. But now what you have is the liberals in the big cities want to enforce their morality and their view of things on the people in rural areas, right? That's what this comes down to. The people who live in, with the Hollywood morality and all these things, especially now with the internet, there's already an invasion of Hollywood morality in smaller rural type of places and families and things. But now they want to make these rules because in reality, abortion is still legal in more than half the states and will remain so, right? And so it says here, the Cougar Town alum was detained for blocking traffic at a pro-choice demonstration outside the U.S. Supreme Court in Washington. And so she's flying to Washington, D.C. to put pressure on who? The Supreme Court? It's just no longer constitutional to get an abortion, which means that states can decide for themselves. and people could choose where they live in America. You know, you can choose where you live. People can move around freely, right? You can move to a state where, or just go to a state to get an abortion. It's more expensive, right? You have to pay for travel. There's some issues. But, you know, for the most part, things haven't changed all that much. You know, in the states where you can't get an abortion, it's you know, it's less convenient. But you can travel to a state where you can. And she was escorted away on the U.S. Capitol Police while wearing a shirt that read, "I will aid and abet abortions." Here she is with her peace sign up. You know, they want to get arrested, right? They want publicity. But it doesn't matter. Like, you know, it's a Supreme Court issue. And here she is. This is her and her peace sign. Look at her go. Look at her and her peace sign. There she goes. There's an officer. There's a cop. She's throwing up her peace sign. I'm being arrested. I'm proud of it. She's got her peace sign up. And, and they're in the middle of the road blocking traffic, you know, about the people who are probably for the most part pro-abortion. She's throwing up her peace sign. Very much like the Sad Dumpling arrest where they go to Washington, D.C. as these celebrity faketivists and they, you know, have these staged arrests that don't do anything. They, you know, they get processed and let go. There she is again, aid and abet abortion with her peace sign up. There she is walking away. Look at this dude right here, right? It's lime green is the color. There they are. They're all celebrating. Look how happy they are. Look at how happy they are. I mean, you know, for people who are miserable about this new law, they're really happy. There she is. Look at them. Look at all smiles. Like they're up there protesting with smiles. These fake protests where they're, you know, they're flying in first class. She's got some sort of all this stuff there. Where is she here? Is that jail? Is she in jail here? So I'm in the editing process, and I just want to point out how ridiculous this picture is. So I've said over and over again, protests don't work unless the protests are a part of an agenda backed by the powers that be, right? That they want protests so they can justify some sort of action because of the protests. But protests are adults having tantrums, saying that they're unhappy with something and they're not going to take it, right? And it's really the threat of the mob, because the mob is what the people in power fear, right? Like that scene from Bug's Life where the Kevin Spacey character, the grasshopper's talking about if the ants realize the ants outnumber us 100 to 1, right? And so the people who are in power and control always fear the mob, but not so much anymore because they're so detached from the mob in any particular country. And so protests are just a way for people, the mob, to release steam and then to motivate political, you know, activism and faketivism. I've said this over and over again. But if you're going to protest, anger have to be a part of it. Like these people are supposed to be all outraged because of Roe versus Wade. And all the pictures, they're smiling and holding up peace signs. It's just these, you know, I don't know how many people came along with her in terms of her entourage, but Busy Phillips is like a B or C level celebrity. Really kind of annoying. I mean, they're all annoying, but she's, you know, she's kind of on Chelsea Handler level. I'm going to go back into Chelsea Handler again today. And she shows up just like so many of these other celebrity faketivists with her entourage and crowd, these Hollywood fakers, and they have no anger, and they go to Washington, D.C., and they're just doing this so they can post it on Instagram and show everyone they're a Hollywood faketivists, and they're all smiles, and there's no outrage, and they're just blocking traffic and being a nuisance and getting fake arrested, right? And just, you know, they're like, it's just, they're enjoying their day there, right? And for what? Like, they're, you know, their states, the place they live, there's no threat to their abortion rights in Washington, D.C., and New York, and California, and these other liberal states. So, you know, it's just completely pointless, right? Okay, so there's a little bit more about Chelsea Handler. I did this video originally yesterday, and the audio came out bad, so I had to redo it. So I cut out some of her, you know, horrible monologue. But there was one particular thing that I really wanted to mention, And so I'm going to add it to today's video. It's coming up here. Woo! Woo!
For the first time ever, there are now 4 women on the Supreme Court.
Woo! Men screw everything up. Woo! Yeah, we got women. Woo! They're going to fix things. Woo!
And 5 if you include that bitch Clarence Thomas.
Woo! Ah, woo!
And for all you men who don't understand what's at stake here, let me tell you about a real thing that happens in nature right now. It's called parthenogenesis. This is a scientific phenomenon.
It's parthenogenesis. Woo!
Where animals that used to reproduce sexually start reproducing asexually. That means without the use of sperm. They've seen it happen to a shark, an anaconda, and most recently a condor. Evolutionarily, we are 1,000 years behind animals. So men, if you don't
Woo! Animals are 1,000 years ahead of us. Woo!
listen to what I'm saying right now, you're going to become extinct.
Woo! Woo! Men are going to be extinct. Woo! Like, think about what she said there. Right? So there are 4 species that have now reproduced without a man. Probably because there are so few of them. But that doesn't mean all of those species have thrown out the binary system of a man and a woman reproducing a baby, right? But she says if you don't give them abortion, men are going to come extinct, right? She used reproduction as a metaphor for the possibility of extincting men, right? The extinction of man, and just have women who can reproduce without a man, right? So she's using reproduction as her metaphor of her warning. And then she's saying, if you don't give us the ability to terminate pregnancies, we're going to start getting pregnant without you, right? Like this stupid. She's a walking contradiction. She can't even think her way through what she's saying, right? She's using reproduction as a way to defend abortion. Like that's like one of the most brain dead things ever. Like, like what are you doing here? You suck so bad, right? Woo.
On a more positive and personal note, I want to thank everybody for all of your online petitioning and tweeting to get me into my high school Hall of Fame, because you have managed to one-up my high school, because I just got word moments ago that I am being inducted into the 2022 New Jersey Hall of Fame.
Woo! She's from Jersey. Woo! Woo!
22 New Jersey Hall of Fame.
Woo! She's from Jersey. Woo! Right. That explains so much. Oh, she's from Jersey, right? She's from Jersey. Woo! She's from Jersey. Woo! And she's had best-selling books, apparently. She has, she showed off her home on one of these YouTube video things. And it was, or maybe it was the yard in her home or something. It was all kind of creepy, and she's just very unpleasant. I really hadn't seen her before. But I remember the first time I saw her, I was like, I don't think she's an actress. I didn't know why she was famous. And I didn't think, oh, wow, she's a comedian. And I'm like, she's a comedian? Right? She's like so not funny. And she's one of these celebrities that's somehow in some sort of club or for parents or whatever it is, some nepotism type of thing. And they have, they've made her famous even though she has no real discernible talent. So I got a comment from somebody. I just don't get these kind of people anymore, people who are mainstream people. So my other video about Chelsea Handler gets rolled and aliens interference, and I did a journalism that video. And so this person said, this video is nonsensical. And so if you don't understand the video, why is that my fault? Like, why don't you look at the comments and see, I don't know how many comments there are, but there are hundreds of people who like the video, and there are people who are, into it, right? and they understand it. And so why would you say it's nonsensical when you could just more easily admit how stupid you are, right? You know, like if I looked into something, I don't know, some physics thing or some sort of scientific, mathematical high level science and math, and I was sitting in on a course, and I wouldn't raise my hand and go, "Hey, this stuff is nonsensical, am I right?" And look around at my fellow students who are, understanding it, right? Because you might as well just raise your hand and say, "I'm a dumbass," right? Just say it. You're dumb. You don't understand my video. That's okay. You can move on to somewhere else, but you have to then inject your worldview into something that you don't understand, right? So you don't know what's going on here. You don't understand what my channel is about. You don't understand why the audience likes it. You don't understand anything that's going on. The video was nonsensical, so you didn't understand it. So then you're going to comment. And then the person says, "Really, on YouTube, you can find everything." Well, that's probably good, right? Like, why the voiceover talks like a stupid teenager? Well, if I was a stupid teenager, you'd probably understand what I was saying, right? Since it's nonsensical, then why would like you've contradicted yourself. Either it's nonsensical or it's a stupid teenager. And then it says, if you don't like Chelsea, don't watch her. I'm not watching her, I'm mocking her. Do you not understand? Is it nonsensical to you? Just like I'm not hanging out with you, I'm mocking you now. Like we're not cool. I'm not going to your channel or trying to figure out how to get more of you in my life, right? I don't want to hear more from you and your nonsensical judgment of my video and then go on to list a bunch of things when you don't know what you're talking about or what's going on. I don't understand this video at all, but I'm going to make 3 pronouncements from my misunderstanding, right? And so I'm mocking her and you, right? That's what's happening. You for leaving a stupid comment when you didn't have to, and her for sucking in ways that are, unfathomable that she would have a successful career and that she's supposed to be a comedian and she's not. Funny, right? And, all of it. And my viewers enjoy it. That's part of what draws people to my channel is I find things to mock in celebrities and politicians in a humorous, light way, but the people suck and deserve much worse, right? And, probably you do too. Just saying, right? But then again, your comment was nonsensical to me, so I'm going out on a limb. I didn't understand your rocket science comment and your Mensa-like ability to say things like, if you don't like Chelsea, don't watch her, right? To a video that's clearly, or the portion of the video that's clearly about mocking her. Anyways, let's move on to the next thing. CNN suffers biggest ratings dip in 7 years. Viewers plummet to 13% in June. Plummet 13% in June, in the largest free fall since 2015, despite new CEO Chris Lichte vowing to turn the network away from extremes. The network promised by Lichte to go different way during a time where extremes are dominating cable news appear to still be in the tank. Despite the hearings, which drew tens of millions of viewers across multiple networks, CNN actually had fewer viewers in June than it did in May. I was wondering why the hearings, like, people aren't interested in the Trump hearings. People have moved on from that, right? Like, people, they don't care about that in general. CNN drew an average of 654,000 viewers in prime time. That's like nothing. And 487,000 for the entire news day, down 1% and 3% respectively. So they have, they're barely at 1 million viewers a day, right? During the committee hearings week of January 13th and 19th, the network averaged just 480,000 viewers. This is like so bad. And they're saying here, MSNBC did better with 1.28 viewers and 1.28 million viewers in prime time. That still sucks, right? Like, these networks have huge overhead and lots of people working there and high-paid media personalities there. And you're doing that for, there's 3 hours of prime time, and you're getting only a million viewers between 3 shows, right? And people don't, watch a whole show. They tune in for a little bit. And then, the demographics are horrible for them. It's mostly older people, including Fox News. They don't have the preferred demographics. I mean, these things are barely, it's not like, it's like they don't even exist anymore. Like, nobody's watching. Like, and the people are watching, do they like CNN, or are they, they're just watching to goof on it? Like, I mean, who knows what the viewership even means? One of my friends on Facebook sent me this.
Since the Brexit vote and Donald Trump's election as U.S. president, we've heard a lot, including from PS commentators, about the impending collapse of the liberal world order.
False flag operations, and since then we established a liberal world order, and there's going to be a new world order out there.
I'm not going to go into her explanation, but it's almost like she's explaining something she doesn't understand. But part of the explanation is the Bretton Woods conference that led to the creation of the United Nations the following year. The Bretton Woods conference made the American dollar the world reserve currency. And so these are what she considers some of the hallmarks in the building of the liberal world order. So it's not a good winning term. I mean, they might be doing it to provoke people in the truth community or on the left, but it's not a term that's going to, be a winning term for you. So it says here, NASA climate change and global warming caused by changes in Earth's solar orbit and axial tilt, not man-made causes. And I know this is going around the truth community. This is NASA's official page. And I was like, I was going to look into it, but I thought, who believes anything that NASA says, right? This is how the truth community works, and everything else works. Everyone thinks that NASA in the truth community is one of the most unreliable and unbelievable, right, not legitimate organizations, because there is such questions about the moon landing, and that's their hallmark event, right? And the stuff with the Van Allen radiation belt and them dumping and destroying all the telemetry data from the moon landing and other things that has caused people to not believe in it, right? And then other things with NASA. But then all of a sudden NASA says something that people in the truth community agree with, and it becomes a reliable source, right? Look at what NASA just said, right? I'm like, wait. When have you ever believed anything NASA says? It's like NASA's one of the punching bags of the truth community. And it's just how things work here and just the human mind and the human belief system. I've talked about this, that people are so rigid and locked into their personal beliefs, and they just want things that agree with their beliefs. They go out seeking information every day that agrees with their beliefs. And this is across the board. And it's a huge problem because everybody's locked in. Nobody's changeable. And the beliefs, what we're having now is belief wars. And that's what you see with the abortion thing. You see it with, pretty much every issue. And it's about beliefs, right? It's about people's beliefs being rigid and inflexible and not being able to hear the other side. And people not being able to communicate with people who believe anything but what they believe, right? So unfortunately, Brittney doesn't have any new dance videos. She has 3 of the same picture of a rose. Or maybe they're different, I don't know. But she is posting about mental health. On Cloud 9, whatever my camera is in hand, this is some guy named Macon Z. Smith. On Cloud 9, wherever my camera is in my hand, but I'm learning how, more than ever, that my job is not my purpose. It's a huge part of my life, and I love it, but I am learning the societal norm that I am worthy based on my productivity. You are worth so much more than what you can do in a day. You deserve rest and love. You need to earn your place in the world. You don't need to earn your place in the world. Once you lean into this truth, the work becomes easier. It becomes a labor of love, not a burden on your soul. So if no one told you today you are worthy, you are loved, you deserve to be here, you'll do great things in time. And Brittney's posting that, so that probably means she ain't never going to sing again and dance. Well, she'll dance she'll dance like Brittney do. But speaking of epic entertainers, here is one of the Island Boys. Here he is throwing up some sort of gang sign and doing that with his teeth. But there was a couple of funny things that happened here. So here is this dude meeting a fan at, it looks like Walmart. And so Fly Soldier always showing love back to the fans. So this young lady wants a picture with one of the Island Boys, and who's videotaping this and putting it up? So he has somebody videoing his interactions with fans. Is this Target? It must be Target. And so, like, fans videotape interactions with celebrities. Celebrities don't video interactions with fans, right? And post it on Instagram. Look, I got a fan.
All right, so look, this is going to be the matching setup. So we have the 2 white ceramic RM11s, the 2 black DLC RM11s, and the 2 RM11 rose golds. As you guys know, the total is
how much?
2.2 million is going to be the total for this. And let me
2.2 million.
just go print out the paperwork really quick, and then we'll sign it and we'll be good, okay?
No, you're good. You're good. Go grab the paperwork. Hold on, appreciate that. Timepiece training. You
So they stole $2.2 million in watches because they're upstanding young men, bucked and took all the jewelry, timepiece trading, and then we videoed our theft because that's what gangsters do. They always make sure to put their criminal activities on video and post it on Instagram. And then this happened.
Huh?
I slipped because he told me to hit his rib, not his stomach. I still hurt. He okay though. Still hurt. He okay though. So he was supposed to punch him in the rib for some reason. That was better than in the stomach. He missed because he's an Island Boy. And he got the wind knocked out of him. So, this is the Island Boys. They are as stupid as they appear. So just briefly, I got a bunch of things to get to tomorrow. I have this long video I'm making, part of my Journey series, and there's a gathering going on. The transmission is great, and everything else is sucking at new levels. So I was already in the midst of making a long video. It just kept on getting longer and longer, and I wasn't intending it to go back to all the difficulties with heartfulness, but it just keeps on coming back around. And so you put that thing together. But also there's evidence coming out about like reproductive rates, birth rates, and it's not good. And it's something that, many of us the main thing was, if you want to depopulate, you got to stop having babies. You got to stop people from having babies. That's the best way to bring down the population. And because if the effects of it aren't seen for 20 years, societally, right? Because kids aren't, when they're younger, they're not producing any sort of work until they get to be, 18, 16, 18, or 20. They're not part of the economic system. Of course, there's a lot of money spent on children, and there's a lot of jobs related to children. So children are definitely part of the economy. But, you don't see the real effects of, reduced population of babies you don't see the economic effects for a number of years. Anyway, I'll get into that tomorrow on my other channel. But, you know, I'm just like bogged down in, I mean, the stuff with the gathering, you know, I've messaged a few people. Some people have messaged me. It's just a mess, right? Incompetent and shilling and, you know, I mean, I'm just grateful that the transmission's still flowing, but the rest of it is, you know, an embarrassment. And I'll cover that tomorrow or the next couple of days. I'll get that thing done. But anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.